Hey y'all, it's May the 5th, 2018. I'm sitting here and I'm just relaxing. I'm thinking about various things, gearing up for the live stream that hopefully takes place tonight. And I was thinking about different various topics and how they're all interwoven together, kind of just bringing it all together. And I was like, you know what, I'm going to have to look up and find out a little bit in regards to the developments going on over there in Parkland, Florida, in regards with that shooting that allegedly took place. And, I feel like something took place there. The thing is, I can't wait to find out about it. So, what I did is I was brushing up on some of the newer developments. And I believe I went on Google and I just typed in evidence, Nicholas Cruz. You know what I'm saying? Hit enter and then went to the news category to see what's popping on the streets. What are they talking about? And I found basically, you know how you find what's at the top. This is what I found. Three different publications. And what they're talking about is basically this. You got this headline right here, as you can read. Says Parkland school shooter Nicholas Cruz waives right to speedy trial. Now, before we get into it, you already know what's going on here, probably, or you might be new to this. What I want you to notice is pretty much in every publication, what they're going to say is shooter, not alleged shooter, not anything like that. They're not going to say, oh man, we think that he did this. They're going to say, this is a person who we know that did this. We have no evidence. We're not going to show you evidence. We're not going to share with you no evidence. We don't have it to share, but we're going to tell you this. This is what happened. He did it, and here's the guy who did it. Then also, I want you to notice, if you will, because I go out of my way to look, and I'm like, hey, can I say, or can I hear this man, this young boy, can I hear him say a mumbling word? Can I ever hear him say a mumbling word? And to my disbelief, I am never ever granted a word from this. It's like I never ever hear him talk. Nicholas Cruz, the alleged shooter. You're gonna notice that. I don't care where you go, man. You do not. And that's the thing. They're gonna tell you what Nicholas said, but they're never ever gonna ever show you footage of him saying it. How and why that is, well, I'll let you figure that out. I'll let you go ahead and figure that out. But in the meantime, figured we'd go ahead and read through this article. It's just like the other two articles that are at the tippy top. If you write Nicholas Cruz evidence on Google, it's going to just say the same exact stuff. Trust me, I already looked into it. So this is what Tanya Alanis says. The South Florida Sun Sentinel says this. Let's get start diving into it. I'm pretty sure it's not a long article. She says, Parkland school shooter, like I said, not alleged. There is no evidence. Tanya, you never seen evidence, I promise you that, or else you'd probably show us and get more money, but you never seen it. So Tanya says, Parkland school shooter, what she means is alleged Parkland school shooter Nicholas Cruz on Friday waived his constitutional right. They love to talk about the Constitution when it's like really, really convenient, and that's the only time. Well, who's they? You know who they is. The fake news, all right? You know what I'm saying? Anyways, like I said, Parkland school shooter Nicholas Cruz on Friday waived his constitutional right to a speedy trial, giving his defense team more time to prepare his case. Now, his defense team, that is public, you know what I'm saying? He's got that public defender, if you know what I'm saying. A couple of months ago when this was hot in the streets, I was looking at it, and I was noting that you could probably not even have any worse of a defender on your side. It's just not even hardly possible. This lady and whoever works with her, absolutely, completely in the weeds at least. Maybe has no idea what the hell she's doing. Maybe has no idea how she got up and tied her shoes and left the front door in the morning. Maybe has no idea, but she does. She did it, and she's the defender. And it was bad back then. But this is an article kind of detailing how bad it still is, right? So you already noticed that according to this article, according to some person we don't know, maybe his lawyers, Nicholas Cruz waived his constitutional right. You never seen him do it. And trust me, you have all sort of resources. You can film him doing it. You go you see written statements. You never ever see him do it. Never. All right, but it says that he does because he wants to give his defense more time. Now, mind you, this is a situation. Little does Nicholas Cruz know that there's not one stitch of evidence still to this day on TV or off of TV showing that he did it. Right? So the thing is, I mean, stepping back from the situation, if you were Nicholas Cruz and you did murder all sort of these people, and you knew that somehow, some way, there was zero evidence, there is not one little tiny little speck, there's no eyewitnesses or nothing. Imagine if you were Nicholas Cruz, what you would want is the fastest trial that you could possibly get. You know, because you already understand that whatever evidence that prosecutors would want, they don't have it, and if they do have it, they're absolutely keeping it a secret. And why would they? Why would they keep it a secret? It's going to help them in any way at all? No, it's not. It's not even going to help them. So why they would do it, I couldn't tell you. But we're just going to go ahead and read on in the article. It says, in the interest of moving the case along, Broward County Circuit Judge Elizabeth Scherer set a May 4th deadline that I had heard about a couple days ago. I had already heard about it. But she set a May 4th deadline, which was yesterday, for Cruz's lawyers to formally request evidence. I see, the thing is, like, I'm not a lawyer. I'm not so well versed in legalese and things of this nature, right? But you're telling me you're showing me and describing to me a situation, right, in which the circuit judge is having to set a deadline. First of all, this happened in this happened in February the 14th, a long, long time ago, and the judge is setting a deadline for Cruz's lawyers, his public defendants, to ask for evidence. I don't know how much more simple it's like. I mean, it's like that to me. I'm forced to look at it the simple way. I mean, I know there must be a lot of different ins and outs with the laws and everything, but how does it take months and months and months for the defenders of Nicholas Cruz to even ask for evidence? Months and months to even ask to see if there is any evidence. It's like, okay, we're living in a world where his defenders are somehow gathering a case in his defense to support Nick Cruz as to not go into jail forever. That's what they're tasked to do. Meanwhile, they're not even bothering to look at any evidence. They're not asking the prosecutors for any evidence, which is their legal right to do. Instead, they're just whatever. They're not even thinking about it. Maybe they're not even thinking about it, asking for evidence, because like I said, if there is any evidence, that is under top secret lock and key, and nobody's seen it. I haven't seen it. You haven't seen it. Your mama hasn't seen it. Nobody has seen it because it is super secret right now. So you figure if you're Cruz's defense lawyers, you would absolutely want to see the super secret evidence that nobody has seen. Instead, what's happening is the circuit judge, Elizabeth Scherer, is actually basically forcing the public defender, like taking their arm and twisting it behind their back and telling them, look, you have to do your job. You have to ask for evidence. That's just a good idea. So the article says, to request evidence such as witness statements, which don't exist, as far as I know, videos that I don't know. I guess, I don't know. Maybe they exist. Evidence from the police and autopsy reports from prosecutors, which I believe that you'll find are going to be filled up with all sort of holes, and they're really not going to make any sense at all. It's not supposed to make sense, right? So the article goes on and says, I don't want this case treading water, so to speak. Scherer said, and the thing is, I have to agree with Scherer on this. I also don't want it treading water because here's the thing. That's not all. That's not all that we were talking about. As far as the update, it goes on and says, under Florida law, the speedy trial rule generally requires that a felony defendant go to trial within 175 days of the arrest unless it's waived. All right? You might ask yourself why that is. Probably so they don't rot in jail waiting for their trial. You know what I'm saying? Probably so they don't. If they're going to trial for something that they may not be guilty for, it doesn't make sense to keep them in jail for over 175 days. Now, it seems as though The defenders of Nicholas Cruz, the worst attorneys that mankind has ever seen, they're actually trying to waive the speedy trial. Basically, it seems like, and I don't know if this is how it is, but what it seems like is they're trying to waive the speedy trial rule. His defenders, they're trying to waive it so they could push the can down the road, kick the can down the dang road. And at the same time, not even wanting to ask the prosecutors for any evidence, not caring about the evidence at all. There is no evidence. But they don't care about that. Why is that? And then also, why is it you never, ever, 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 you'll never, ever, ever, ever see this young boy speak about nothing, not anything, not at all. They want to paint a picture where this young boy who looks down at the ground all the time, he for some reason wants to live his life, all his whole natural life in prison, and that's all he wants. Which doesn't make any sense to begin with. If he went around shooting people, all sort of people, you would probably assume that he wouldn't care about dying. Why would somebody go around shooting everybody if they did care about dying? Chances are you're going to die. So now they want you to believe that he's sitting in jail. He doesn't even want a trial. He doesn't even want people to present evidence on him. He doesn't want anything. All he wants to do is get out of the death penalty by admitting that he's guilty, even though he has not yet even admitted that he was guilty, and none of it makes sense. There's no evidence and all sort of things like that. He wants to waive his right at a trial in order to make sure that he can stay in jail forever and ever for as long as he lives, even though none of this adds up. All right? So we're going to talk a little bit about that probably later on the live stream. I mean, it just gets worse and worse and worse and worse. And even more worse when you couldn't believe that it could get worse. It does get worse. And just every single day it happens, and it's getting more absurd. And there's really no way that you can't see through all the absurdity for what it is, a very damaged system. And we're all up in the tribulation. So I'll holler at y'all a little bit later. It's May the 5th, 2018.